What's up, guys? Today is a crazy upload day because, it's the craziest time of the NFL season. Off season, of course. That is draft day. And so, draft day number one, first round, that was over yesterday. I'm giving you now my worst picks because I said my best picks in the last video. And then, of course, I gave you my Trey Lance reaction. So, here we go. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe down below, comment your thoughts, and I will be giving you my worst picks of the first round. So just like the last video, I'm going to be giving you my 5 worst picks in this class, and let's get right into it. Starting off with, this is of course based on value, by the way. It's not based on the player, because I think that a player drafted in the top 15 is probably going to be a better player than the player drafted at 30, right? But it's based on value. Starting off with the Carolina Panthers at number 8, they took J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina. I was not a fan of this pick at all. I was really surprised. I thought they'd go offensive line with Rashawn Slater. And I think that you're not helping yourselves because Rashawn Slater would have been a great offensive tackle player. Not offensive tackle, but at least, maybe if he doesn't pan out at left tackle, you move him to left guard and he'd be a solid player. I understand their thinking here, right? Because left tackle is probably one of the deeper positions in this draft, but so is cornerback. And if you wanted to go cornerback, go Surtain. I think he fits a lot better with, I forget their corner's name. I think it's Trey Jackson, I forget his name. Dante Jackson. There we go. Dante Jackson and Patrick Surtain. I think Patrick Surtain would be a much better fit than J.C. Horn because J.C. Horn really, I don't like as a prospect. I don't like him as much. J.C. Horn is not a great man coverage prospect, man press prospect, I'd say, just because he's too physical at the line. He gets too hand grabby instead of you relying on his feet, right? He tries to tend to get too grabby with players, resulting in penalties sometimes. I'm not saying it always results in penalties, but I think that when you try and rely on your hands as a corner more than your feet and your size and your body, especially as a man press corner, you tend to either your feet might not be as solid, right? Because then you're not going to recover as fast, especially if he gets by you, or you're going to hold him, and that's going to be a problem in the NFL. I don't think that J.C. Horn was a top 5, or I think that J.C. Horn was my number 5 corner. I think I had him at 6 on my list, but Elijah Molden, I think I put on there. He's a safety, so he's the top. I said the number 5 corner in this class, but I think you got to go with the safer prospect. They probably fell in love with J.C. Horn's athleticism and testing, but I think that on tape, J.C. Horn does show a lot of technical problems. Of course, they can be solved with good coaching, but you probably want to go with the safer option, number 8, the better option right now, who probably even has a better ceiling in Patrick Surtain. So I would have gone Surtain there. I really didn't like the pick with J.C. Horn. Moving on to my second worst value pick in this draft. It is at number 12, the Dallas Cowboys taking, of course, linebacker Micah Parsons. Now, before we start, let me get this out of the way. Micah Parsons is a good player. Micah Parsons is a great run defender because he can run on both sides. He's also very athletic. He runs the length of the field. He can make all sorts of tackles. I understand that. But let me tell you why. When this pick first came out, I might have tweeted it, I might have not. I was so shocked. I hated the pick when it came out. I know that, when you first come out, your reaction is a lot worse or a lot more exaggerated than it probably is once you settle down. But I thought that Micah Parsons was an awful fit, and I still do. I don't think he's a good fit at all. You know why? What have the Dallas Cowboys done in the last couple of drafts? Who are they drafting a linebacker? Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. What is Jalen Smith's main, Jalen Smith cannot cover. He just can't cover in man. Maybe Micah Parsons had that small man coverage, but then you have Leighton Vander Esch, who's literally a man coverage guy at the linebacker position. Jalen Smith is a solid tackler. I really just see Jalen Smith as what Micah Parsons is right now. And Micah Parsons, he's not the most refined player because sometimes when you watch on tape, he doesn't always take the best angles at tackles, right? He can be a good tackler, but sometimes he, tries to rush in like an edge kind of player, tries to rush in and tries to fight his way through rather than taking the best angles. So I think he's got to definitely refine that. I think his man coverage ability, it can be solid because he can cover due to his athleticism. But I think his zone coverage and his situational awareness, I do not like it at all. I really don't like the fit because what did they need? They needed a zone cover type of linebacker if they were taking linebacker because they have their man coverage guy in Leighton Vander Esch. They have their run stuffer and kind of tackler in Jalen Smith. So I really, really didn't like the pick. I thought that offensive line would have been a perfect fit here. I thought Rashawn Slater would have been here, would have been a solid fit. And if you wanted to go with like a defensive player, you could have also like gone either maybe Jalen Phillips. I don't know if that fit would have been solid, but you could have traded down as well. Like if you wanted to go defense here, let somebody else take Michael Parsons so you can capitalize on the value of the trade down and you can get a better player. I know that they were probably settled in on Michael Parsons, but I don't like the fit. I don't like the value here. I think he's a great player. I just don't like the value here. He could have gone to many other places and been a solid player. I just think that he's not going to fit well. I don't know how much playing time they can get him because 3 linebackers with 2 of them that can't do zone coverage at all. No, all 3 of them that can't really guard in zone coverage. I think that's going to be a problem. Moving on to worst value pick number 3, we've got the head scratching Raiders as usual. You know they're drafting at number 17. It's got to be a reach, right? It has to be. They took tackle tackle from Alabama, Alex Leatherwood, and I think it's just a head scratcher. Let me tell you something about history with the Raiders. What have they done over the past couple of years? In 2018, I believe it was, they traded back from 10 to 15, and they took Colton Miller. Now, Colton Miller has definitely blossomed into a solid player, so it's a good pick. But at the time, the value for Colton Miller was probably late first to early second. They'd take him at 15. That was a very, very high kind of place to take Colton Miller, but it shows, right, they're not really afraid to take players at random positions. At 2019, they went up to number 4, told all their scouts, leave, we don't want you to know our pick. They take Clelin Ferrell, who most likely would have been there around the 16-ish range, and I think they could have traded down either with number 4 if they really fell in love with Clelin Ferrell and got extra value, or they could have traded up and gotten a player like Josh Allen, who I really thought that Josh Allen would go to number 4. They take Clelin Ferrell. I didn't really like that pick as much. I think that Clelin Ferrell still has some potential. He still has some upside. He was better last year than his rookie year, which was pretty abysmal, but I think he's definitely got to take another step. Then, in 2020, they take 2 players who I thought were a little bit of a reach. At 12, they took Henry Ruggs. I didn't think it was that much of a reach compared to their 19th pick, but I think that Henry Ruggs was the 3rd best wide receiver in the class behind Judy and Lamb. And, of course, hindsight known, there are other great receivers, but I think taking him at 12, if you wanted Ruggs, you probably could have traded down just a bit. I understand why they like Ruggs, because, you know, the Raider kind of style always is take those really, really fast burners, right? That was like the Al Davis, Mark Davis kind of regime. That's what they were always thinking. So I'm assuming that ownership probably played a bit into that, but another questionable kind of pick. We'll see how Henry Ruggs is adapted, because I think he's a very good player. Let's just see how he's adapted into the offense this year. At number 2, not number 2, but number 19 in that draft, they took Damon Arnett, a guy who probably had a 3rd round grade in my opinion, and he got drafted in the 1st round. He was terrible last year. He wasn't the 1st round talent. He really wasn't. There were a lot of corners. I thought Jalen Johnson could have fit. I thought Trayvon Diggs could have fit. I thought Christian Fulton could have fit. Any of those corners could fit better than Damon Arnett. They like Damon Arnett a lot. If they liked Damon Arnett a lot, they could have taken him in with their 2nd round pick. Maybe that wouldn't have been as much of a reach, but they chose him in the 1st round, and that's exactly what they did this year. I think Alex Leatherwood is the 3rd round pick in terms of talent, just because I don't think he's a great pass protector. He's really not. He's a good run blocker. He's a pretty poor pass protector. That was shown this year. He took a step back, which is a problem again. But Alex Leatherwood was taken here at pick 17. I think that this is a terrible pick for the Raiders especially, because what does Alex Leatherwood play? Left tackle. He has not played guard before because Deontay Brown was playing guard. He's never played guard. So he really doesn't have the flexibility. Let's see how he plays at guard this year, because I'm assuming he won't play right tackle. I don't think. I think he shifted to left guard. But Alex Leatherwood plays left tackle. The only position on your offensive line that is actually set is your offensive tackle at the left tackle position. Why would he draft a left tackle? There were players like Darisaw who had the flexibility to move to right tackle. There were players like Tevin Jenkins who would have been a perfect fit here with the Raiders at 17. There were players like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah who would help a defense. There were so many good players. I think that Alex Leatherwood would have been a solid pick maybe in the second round, maybe in the third round. I don't know if he falls to the third round, but late second, early second, not early, but mid-second, you could take him there. He's just not a good scheme fit here. He's not a good fit at all with the Raiders. I just question the pick a lot. Moving on to bad pick number 4. I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They took Najee Harris at 24. Now, Najee Harris is a solid player. I think he's RB2 in the class behind ETN. But I just thought that, Steelers, what are you doing? Come on. Like, there were so many solid running backs probably in this class. So many running backs just figuring out, like, from undrafted, from mid-rounds. You really didn't need this pick right now. What do they need? They have so many holes in the offensive line. There were an insane amount of offensive linemen available right now. Like, you could have taken Dickerson here. You could have taken Creed Humphrey, although that was probably a reach. You could have taken Tevin Jenkins. You could have taken so many offensive linemen here. So many available. You choose not to. You could have also taken cornerback because guess what? Your top 2 cornerbacks you let go in the offseason. Steven Nelson, I think, and Joe Hayden was the other one. Your top 2 cornerbacks left you. And who was on the board? I mean, I wasn't high on him, but teams were. Greg Newsome, he was there. There are a lot of other cornerbacks. If you like any of the other ones, like Stokes, like maybe Asante Samuel, like Tyson Campbell, who I really like there are so many cornerbacks here that you could have taken here as well. I think that you can definitely address running back in the second or third round, and just the value here for the pick is not great. I don't think that Najee Harris is a bad fit at all. I think that he'd be a solid fit. I probably think ETN might have been a better fit just because ETN kind of reminds you of that Le'Veon Bell, right? Where he's a kind of like a smaller size, or not size, smaller height player, bigger size, who plays with that elusiveness and kind of that explosiveness after anticipation. I think that ETN would have been a solid pick here. But I think that they took running back too early. Not solid. I think that, ETN maybe would have been an okay pick, better than Najee Harris. But I think that, they took this running back pick way too early. I don't like the pick here. Moving on to number 5, I think this pick was a little hard. I think there were a couple picks that you could have gone here. I'm going to go, though, with the pick that I kind of am more attached to, which is Buffalo Bills here at 30, taking Greg Rousseau. If you don't know, my favorite quarterback is Josh Allen in the NFL. So, of course, I watched a lot of Buffalo Bills games, and I just did not like the pick. I think Greg Rousseau is a low second-round talent just because, guess what? What does he provide? He provides size. Does he provide any athleticism? Not really. Is he strong? He's not really that strong. So what really upside did he provide? He had that 15-sack season. I think a lot of those sacks were a lot of fluky plays where it's pass coverage. People are scrambling for so long. Then they sack. Those kind of plays, right? Extended plays where he was lucky enough to go and get the sack because it was offensive fallacies, which clearly won't happen in the NFL. So I don't think he's that big of a sack production guy. I think he could maybe be a solid run defender. He's not a great pass rusher, in my opinion. I think he's got a lot to improve on, and I don't know how much he can improve due to his, kind of athleticism issues. I think he tested really poorly, and I think that there are a lot of flaws in his game, and I don't think that his upside is that high. I didn't think that, if you wanted to go edge rusher here, the next pick would have been much more solid. Jason Oweh. You had Azeez Ojulari here, who would have been a great scheme fit. You had a lot of players here. You could have also gone cornerback to, fill up that third cornerback position. I know it's a little deeper of a class, but you could have gone cornerback here. I think you could have also, if ETN hadn't gone, you probably would have gone running back here, which would have been a better fit because you don't have as many holes. But I think that the Bills could have gone in so many different directions here at the edge position, at a different position, and they chose to go with a poor player here in Greg Rousseau. I hope Greg Rousseau, can develop a lot, but I kind of doubt it compared to the other prospects. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like on the video. More draft content coming up. Day 2 is today. I'm going to be tuned in for the whole thing, and I'll get back to you. If you guys want to follow me along during the draft, go to my Twitter, RohanSports27, and I'm going to be tweeting my thoughts throughout the draft. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.